Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You're with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, very good day to you. You're in Monte Carlo at the moment, just rolled back from the casino, no doubt. Wall's full of euros. How's it going?
I'm not actually in Monte Carlo. I'm in Nice. I'm in Nice, Old Town, on the beachfront of Nice, and I'm getting the car up to Monte Carlo to watch the tennis today. You'll be able to follow that. Well, all the tennis. This will be a bit late by the time we go live, but any live tennis content at the venue will be exclusive on the Instagram account at Because We Win. Yeah, heading across today. Should be a good card. Alcaraz is playing. Jack Draper started off a long day, but yeah, not too warm here today. It's a bit chilly, bit of chill in the air, but when the sun comes out, it's strong. But there's a lot worse places rather than be on the French Riviera.
Yeah, that's right.
And see the beach. Not bad.
How's Jimmy Ott? Have you bumped into Jimmy?
Yeah, I put it on yesterday on the Twitter account. He's having a whirl of a time. He's having good fun. He's betting lots of winners. And Sean Calvert's been on fire in the start of the tournament. Obviously, he's been watching the show there on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, and he's been cashing tickets. But he was in the casino in Monte Carlo. I don't know how much.
Do you know what? I bet he was. I can imagine Jimmy coming out 5 a.m, still got the tux in. Do you know what I mean? Cigar. Nice little brandy, you know. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether he's won or lost. Doesn't matter. He's just enjoying life.
If Americans had a James Bond, it'll be Jimmy Ott.
He would be Jimmy. We're going to get the boys' profit and loss on screen here because we are in profit. And what I wanted to ask Jack here is that, look, obviously there's a bit of a difference between the two cappers this season, but Nigel's absolutely flying at the moment.
Did John write that bit? Did producer John write that? Did he write that?
He's doing the scripts now.
Is he doing the scripts now?
I wanted to ask Jack, are you confident you're going to stay ahead of Nigel between now and the end of the season? I'll make you an 8s on shot.
To do
a bit like, is that finding
money
in the street?
Am I? Wow.
I'll make you 8s on to make sure.
No, you're 8-1 against. You're 8-1 against.
Nigel, you can have 3-1 with me that you can overhaul Jack.
Well, I might have to change strategy with some of these picks then. I might have to go
You're flying at the minute.
We can get our heads together here. So if I can lose 3 units every week, how many's that you've got to get back? I'm sure we can do something.
Listen, I don't really care who wins as long as we win together. That's all that matters.
Isn't that nice? He's such a team player.
Isn't
Jack, how are you? You're all right.
I'm very well.
Are you winning?
Thanks.
Good.
Yeah. I've been to Southend seafront and strolled out of the casino there.
The penny arcades.
With my Hawaiian shirt on and my shorts and my flip-flops. It's been amazing. A great week, yeah. So, all good.
Tag us
in. I have Jack much more down as a sort of Case to Soul weekend kind of guy. Bit of like Shack Attack. Or,
Shawadi-wadi.
Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Weekends
I've never
only.
heard of any of them. Tag us in at Because We Win. Follow us on Instagram. A lot of exclusive content. Sign up to the newsletter if you haven't already. BettingWeeklyStudios.com. We still got people asking about the newsletter. People are dropping on the show. We're getting more subscribers by the week. Get your comments in YouTube. Really good response last week to all the picks. And hats off to Nigel once again. This is what John's told me to put anyway. Yes. For a terrific 2-unit pick on the Monday night game. We're going to start our roundup with Man City Palace here. And we've got Jack's Hot Dog to kick us off with. Excuse me. I'm dying here.
Them hot dogs stick in your throat, don't they? They're terrible.
Yeah, they do a bit.
Yeah, bit undercooked, that one, sorry.
City are minus 210. Palace are plus 510. I thought we might get Palace as the hot dog, but we haven't here. Palace have won 6 of the last 7 in all competitions. And they've been troublesome. To City, Jack, at the Etihad in recent seasons. I mean, they've won at sort of 18s, 20s in the last sort of 6 or 7 years on 2 occasions, but they're a lot shorter now. Where does your hot dog go here?
I've gone with a player, and it's one of our favourite players. We mentioned him a lot over the last couple of seasons. Eberechi Eze to score or assist at plus 220. I think is a really nice price for. Like the main man for Palace still is. Let's not make no bones about it. He's got some great support artists around him, but he is still the real shining light for me, the main talent. I think Palace are a bit short. Also, you've got to take into account their defensive issues as well. Obviously, they lost Gahey last weekend for that red card. Chris Richards wasn't fit enough to play last week. They said he could have played if it was the last game of the season, but they might have to patch him up and get him out this week because Lacroix could be out with that concussion protocol. So Defensive issues for them, which is a bit concerning. And City really need the points, don't they? They've got to really go for it because they're down in 6th now. So although the top 5 in the Premier League get Champions League place, they're up against it. So they're going to go for it. But I think that really suits Palace, who are really good in transition. So that comes into Eze, and that's why I picked him here as far as a goal scorer assist. I think the fact Nketiah is suspended for this one as well actually does help the bet because it means that you're likely to have Mateta getting more game time. That's been managed a bit recently, but obviously he scored last week as well. And Eze, since he went on international duty, has come back firing. Sometimes when he scored his first international goal in that break, didn't he? And sometimes players come back after that high and have a little bit of a lull. He's just kicked on, hasn't he? Straight away, they went into the FA Cup tie. He scored a brilliant goal and an assist in that tricky game away at Fulham. They won 3-0, so he was involved in 2 of those goals. And then last weekend in the big game against Brighton, the rivals, I nearly said local rivals then, but rivals, they're, he provided both goals. So absolutely on fire. 2 goals, 8 assists across the league campaign so far this season. And I just feel that this could be a little bit more open, certainly than what we saw with Man City, Man United at the weekend, with City being at home. And so that will suit Palace taking the main man, Eze, to have a contribution in a goal of some description at plus 220.
It's a good hot dog, Bridget Eze. We've talked about on the show an awful lot this season. He can be a profitable play. Nigel, not tempted by Palace on the money line in a lot of the form tables. They're either first or second. They've been great recently. If they win at the Etihad, if they beat Newcastle in midweek, their game in hand, they're 3 points behind City. It's a bit of a stretch, but they are a form team still, aren't they? What do you got for us?
I think if they went there with a full 11, I think I would give them a chance. But not only are they without Nketiah, they're without Gaya, obviously at the back, and that back 3 is absolutely crucial to them. And he's been a real chief reason why they've been so solid at the back. And they're also about Will Hughes, who's he's suspended as well. So the 3 key players. I know Nketiah is probably off the bench, but 3 players that can impact the match going to Manchester City. I still think Palace need to be at it full strength to win the match. And that's why I probably, I was looking to get with them in some way. I looked at the double chance at plus 155. I looked at both teams to score. Yes, I expect Palace to score. I don't think this will be like a dire 0-0 like the Manchester Derby, which was absolutely awful, which was one of my leans as well on that last week. The leans, we stood strong on under 2.5 goals in that. And that was cashed after 10 minutes. You knew where that was going. But I expect goals. I expect Palace to score, but minus 152 for both teams to score. I couldn't really have that. Unbeaten Palace on the road, for a long, long time in 8. They don't get beat on the road. Palace only lost 1 in their last 11, but City have only lost 1 in their last 8, remarkably, when you consider how bad they've been playing. So both of these sides are in form. If you look at Palace this season, defensively they've been strong, but how are they going to cope without Gaya? I mean, he is absolutely crucial to them. So, I mean, I'm giving Lequire a lot of praise here only because I didn't really know much about him, but we know Gaya is probably England's most key defender now in the national team. That's how important he is. And to lose him for this match, I think is a big, big problem. This could be the FA Cup final. Last week, Crystal Palace became the first team in Premier League history to win a match with 9 men on the pitch at the end. And I got a feeling they'll score here. I wouldn't rule out a draw. I mean, the reverse fixture was a 2-2 draw. If I was leaning towards anything at a value price, it would be the double chance. Palace on a double chance at plus 155. But my best bet probably in the match, but a short price, if you want to play in the low odds, would be both teams to score yes at minus 152.
Let's get to Forest Everton. That game, of course, the early kickoff in the Premier League. Lunchtime local, 7:30 Eastern. 10 a.m. For the next few matches. We're going to talk about Eastern time. Forest Everton first up here. Forest just over evens for this one. Last time they were evens at home to Everton was back in the late 90s. Not been a lot of meetings between the two, as we know. But Forest have sort of struggled to create and struggled to score recently. They're still playing all right, but Wood, Elanga, Awani, players that might not feature, certainly Ola Aina won't start. Is the season just catching up with Forest, Nigel? Do you think a little bit? They've used 23 players in the Premier League, which is the fewest in the top flight. Can we still bet them to beat a sort of average Everton side?
Well, I mean, if you went back through history in Premier League matches and you saw a team that are vying for Champions League football against a team with absolutely nothing to play for, and you were getting plus 108, you would, at home, you would absolutely snap the bookies' fingers off to get that plus 108. I mean, if this was Manchester City at home to Everton, or this was another side like I'm trying to think, like Newcastle at home to Everton, that would be minus 175 minus $2 to win this match. So the market is very disrespectful for Nottingham Forest on their league performances, what we've shown this season. The injuries you've just said there are key, but I think Chris Wood could feature in this match, which will help them massively. So I think this will be a market that will move hugely on the team news. At the moment, it's factored in that Forest may not without some players. And the other thing about Everton, we know what they're like. They're very hard to break down. They're very, very they're quite boring to watch now. Again, we said at the start that David Moyes had changed it around and they're much more attack minded. They're not that anymore. They're come back to the tried and tested Everton format. 6 of their last 8 have been draws, which would be a worry for me if I was betting the plus 108. But I think you'd have to look here and go for under 2.5 goals, really, if you were going to go for anything. No loss in the last 11 at the City Ground for Nottingham Forest, and 8 of those matches have been under 2.5 goals. The last time they lost was in November at home. So that is a remarkable stat. They're going for the FA Cup, which could use up a lot of their resources in terms of players, and they're under pressure from Newcastle, Manchester City, and the pack closing in on them in those, and Chelsea as well, hanging around in that sort of top 4, top 5. It would be awful for them to miss out on the Champions League. I think they'll just get home, but I think this plus 108 is a carrot that is being dangled by Bet Rivers. And I think if I knew that 2 of those 3 were playing, I would be all over it. But if all 3 of them are missing, then I think Forest are a very, very different side and I can't do it. So I think the safer option at this moment of time would be to bet under 2.5 goals. But you're not going to get rich. This is like going back to a long, long time ago in terms of, I think under 2.5 goals is something like minus 162, is it?
Yeah, minus 160.
I mean, I don't think I've seen an under 2.5 goal line that short for probably 2 seasons in the Premier League. I mean, we were talking about 3 goals go. So they're not giving anything away here. I expect this. I could see this being 1-0 Forest. Maybe Wood come off the bench if he's not starting and scored a goal. But I'm slightly worried about the team needs to get involved in the plus 108. But it's going to be low scoring.
Yeah, last sort of 3 or 4 games, if you work it out, minus 162 is still a value play, I think, because there's been a lot of unders with these 2. Jack, what you got for us? You're sort of booking that unders trend-ish with your...
Yeah, it's a lean. I've gone kind of against it. Similarly, I went against the Arsenal and Fulham one a couple of weeks ago. Similar reasons, really. So I've gone with both teams to score at minus 105. Forest again to that stage, they're getting a little bit nervous, aren't they? So they've got a 5-point buffer to City in 6th, but as Nigel's already said, it's close up the top there, and they can't afford to drop too many points. This is a tricky one. Always is. I think if you want one side that've got nothing to play for, or if you've got a side with nothing to play for, and you want a manager to be in charge of them, David Moyes is probably one of the best ones. He's going to keep them honest and go until the end with them. What they have done under him is score goals. They've only failed to score in 2 of the games since he's been in charge. The one being the first one against Villa, and then that most recent one against Liverpool away. So I think they've got a chance. Ndai's back. He scored last weekend, admittedly from the penalty spot, didn't he? And tell you a battle I'm looking forward to is that Beto versus Murillo and Milenkovic. I think that's going to be a one to keep an eye on. It could be a little bit feisty, that one. So I think that suits him down to the ground. The reason we're getting a bit of a decent price on both teams to score, and the reason why the unders are so high, obviously Everton do struggle a bit to score plenty of goals. They're normally good for 1, but Forest kept 4 clean sheets on the spin at home. So I'm going to take that to end. I will take both teams to score as a lean at minus 103.
Southampton Villa next for us. Difficult one in some ways here, Nigel, because Villa are obviously in between that Paris Saint-Germain Champions League quarter-final. They were outplayed, weren't they, last night against the Parisians. And Southampton have got Simon Rusk in charge again, I think, here, because obviously Juric went at the start of the week. I mean, there's a lot of imponderables here. Team news, caretaker managers. I mean, Villa are minus money favourites. It's not one that I'm going to get involved in. Any lean from you?
Well, I mean, it's a tricky one. I mean, it's usually this time of season where a manager comes in with 6 matches to go and say, you keep us in the Premier League, we'll give you a couple of million. And this block, the manager's coming in, this one is, don't get us that unwanted record of Derby. We'll give you a million.
We'll give you 10 million.
Get us 1 draw. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll come and do it. Get you the draw. Get you home. Get the million, and that'll be it. But I think it's a very, very difficult match to call for the reasons you said there. I mean, Villa would be an automatic fade for anybody after that match. That second half, they couldn't get the ball. I think it was about 86 possession for Paris Saint-Germain. They were absolutely brilliant. It scored 3 goals. Could have scored 5. They were exceptional, and that would have been a long, long, hard evening for this young Aston Villa side. The trouble is that, and throughout this competition, throughout the Champions League, the game when they've come back, we've seen it so many times that Villa have used so much energy that they've been a fade and they haven't got any results on the back of a Champions League match. But this Villa side now has got a decent squad. I mean, what he did, the business he did, the manager did in Emery did in the January transfer window, I thought was the best business that anyone had done in the Premier League. I mean, the players he brought in were amazing, and that's why they can probably keep going. That's probably why they've got the chances in the FA Cup as well. I obviously think they're going to have a come down here. They're going to be a lull. They haven't lost many matches, and now they've lost the big match, and it's going to be hard for them to up themselves. But if you're going to do it against anyone, you're going to do it against the team setting the worst record at the bottom of the Premier League. I think the money line's about right. Plus 460 Southampton, minus 186 Villa, plus 340. I can't find anything in that. 1-0 in the return leg. But I think the value here is on some anytime goal scorers because we know that Rashford led the line. I can't see him playing. And he's got Watkins, he's got Malen as well to come on, the Dutch guy. And he's been good as an impact player. Watkins is a proven striker in the Premier League. And I think those two will feature here at the expense of some of the players who will be burnt out from the match in Paris. So I'm looking at Watkins anytime, plus 110. Malen anytime at plus 230. I'd probably bet a couple of them because they will start. I can't see him going with Rashford. I can't see him going with the. I think he'll rest 5 or 6 players ahead of that return leg and just hope the Villa Park atmosphere can get to Paris Saint-Germain because they're not renowned, are they, the French, to hold their nerve. Hang on a minute. There's a few of them around here.
You picked the wrong week for that line. I think Marlon's a great shout, incidentally, because he's got goals in him and he's almost certain to start, isn't he? Jack, what do you think in this one?
Yeah, you framed it perfectly as to the reason why you'd probably want to avoid this game. Too many imponderables. I've gone with under 3 Asian total at minus 113. I think the dream scenario here for Villa is to go to Southampton, get a couple of early goals, and then manage the game out.
I mean, they've still got Champions League to go for, to qualify for, Jack, haven't they? That's the point.
Yeah, what I was going to say is they've worked hard to get back in the race for the top 5. They ain't going to throw it away by going to the worst side in Premier League history and dropping points there. And as Nigel said, they have got the squad to be able to do that. They have got the forward players to go and score goals. And one thing I looked at as well, as you mentioned, Simon Rusk being the manager now to the end of the season, he's got no one to really impress. As you say, that lowest points total is the only goal for them between here and the end of the season. So a couple of scabby 0-0 draws will do them absolutely fine to get over that line. And looked at his 2 games that he had in charge after Russell Martin was sacked. It was a tough one. They were home to Liverpool in the League Cup, and that was 2-1 to Liverpool. And then they went to Fulham, and that was 0-0. And not that many sides keep Fulham out, to be fair. So going there, he's obviously got some kind of template that he's worked with. Keep it tight. Imagine a similar scenario here. Try and nick something from it. But I'd take Villa to win it close, but I've gone under 3 Asian total. At minus 113 is Malene.
Brighton, Leicester, a couple of leans. Rattle through these ones for us, Nigel and Jack. Brighton minus 400, not quite the shortest price they've ever been in a Premier League fixture, but close. And whatever you think about Brighton, because we're talking about Leicester, I guess you've got to have a Brighton spin on this. What do you think, Nigel?
Well, I mean, Leicester, they're the worst team in the Premier League by a mile at this current time, and the team at the bottom of the table could get the lowest ever points. It shows you how bad a job Ruud van Nistelrooy has done. That the team who are going to set the record all-time low in the Premier League would be favourites to beat them in a one-off match if they played tomorrow, which is incredibly poor from the foot. That shows you the fall down and the come down from Leicester City Football Club. Van Nistelrooy is probably one of the worst managerial performances in the Premier League's history, I would say. They're just a club in complete crisis. The fans are gone, the players are gone, the manager's going to be gone. But they go to Brighton, they always give a chance. The obvious play, obviously, is the win to nil. Leicester have lost 9 straight, 8 of them to win to nil. But Brighton have only won 1 in their last 6, minus $4. And we've said Brighton before on this show, whenever they're heavy price favourites, they don't necessarily get the job done. Just looking at this, Brighton to win to nil is minus 109 against this Leicester side. It just highlights what a great bet last week Newcastle were to win to nil at plus 160. And do you know what? Up some firms were plus 190 that match last week. Plus 190. And Brighton here to win to nil at minus 109. It's the obvious play, but there's something doesn't feel right about Brighton to win to nil at -109. So I think that would be we're continue on this Leicester theme that they're not scoring goals. We know they're reliant on their Vardy, but Brighton, I don't think they can be trusted at -$4, and they certainly can't be trusted to win and keep a clean sheet at minus money. If it was +130, +140, I bet it, but -109 is factored in about this Leicester performance. But that would be the only angle you can have really here.
Yeah, I can completely agree. It's got to end, and when the price starts to slip to minus money, it might be worth leaving alone. Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, I think City were -103, I think, for that same bet as well 2 weeks ago when they restricted Leicester to one shot. So, yeah, it's it's going in the wrong direction for us, isn't it? A really, really tough one to call. This is my least favourite game of the whole slate, so I'll be very quick on it. I've gone over 3 Asian total. I've just got a gut feeling, really, that Leicester might actually finally score a goal. But I'd say it's nothing more than that. As far as Brighton are concerned, 2 league defeats on the spin. They've got to rest that, obviously, to keep in that European race. No better opponent than Leicester at the moment. And Ruud van Nistelrooy, lip readers out there will know exactly what he thinks of his defence. And those who can't lip read will probably tell from his body language. So, yeah, for me, I've just gone with over 3 Asian total. I didn't want to take over 2.5 Brighton goals or go with a Brighton player. I couldn't really work out who I'd want as their goal scorer either. So I've just gone across the board that over 3 Asian total -105.
Yeah, I don't mind that. It sort of just covers Leicester getting a goal, doesn't it, really? They might just add to that total. Let's get same
Brighton
game parlay from
good for
Jack.
Conceding, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
What's he done? What same game parlay has he done?
Who? No, I'm going to the next game.
Well, I was going to say, he's not going to have a same game parlay on Brighton v Leicester.
No.
What's going on here?
Let's go to this game. Incidentally, Nigel's same game parlay last week. I was so convinced that was going to win. It was a really nice play, and Bruno, of all people, letting you down for it, which would have been a really nice.
I was trying to think whether we could find a website that give us a shot, and we could sort of hope that we could try and claim that, but unfortunately we couldn't. But that whole parlay was based on the fact that it would be a tight, low scoring game. Which would have really booked squeaky bum time on Mr. Wright going down the final stretch if that had come through, wouldn't it?
You overtake me as long as we're both in profit at the end of the season.
Exactly. It's a team game. Same game parlay is very much a team game because obviously we need a few elements here. Jack's put 2 together for the Arsenal-Brentford game, which is 12:30 on Saturday. Arsenal short price favourites, brilliant against Real Madrid. -1,000 to go through, but they are going to rotate. So, it'd be a different team, obviously. Jack, what have you put together here for the same game parlay?
Yeah, just 2 legs. You can tell we've gone in profit for the season. 2 leg same game parlay at +180.
Roll in a bit. Yeah.
I'll pull the reins tight on this one. But my lean for this game would have been both teams to score yes. So that's the foundations for the same game parlay. As you say, I think that Arsenal are going to rotate. They've got a patched up defence as it is. Yes, they can keep out the likes of Vinicius Junior, Bellingham and Mbappe, but can they keep out Mbomo and Visser? I think they probably won't, to be honest with you. I think they're good for a goal against Brentford. When you look at the stats, as far as Arsenal are concerned at home, only 1 clean sheet in the last 6 home league games, only failed to score in 3 of 25 across all competitions at home this season. So I think they've got a little bit of leeway here. Obviously, taking that 3-goal lead to Madrid gives them a little bit of comfort. You aren't going to be too cosy on it, to be fair, though, are you? So I think Brentford's confidence on the road plays into this as well. That run of 5 straight wins was ended that last time away against Newcastle. But other than that, they've been very, very decent indeed. They've scored in each of the last 6, 12 of the last 14 road games. So we know they've got lots of threat in forward areas, and they tend to like playing against Arsenal, or he's scored against Arsenal. And Mbomo is the second leg for him to have a shot on target. Top scorer for Brentford, of course, 16 league goals. 7 of those have come on the road from 15 games. He's on penalties as well, which always helps. He's had a shot on target in each of his last 6 road games as well. Scored in the reverse fixture and had a shot on target in 3 of his last 4 meetings against Arsenal. So put them together, both teams to score, and Mbomo shot on target, +180.
Chance for Thomas Frank's side, do you think? Are we fading Arsenal somehow, Nigel? What do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be very, very hard for them to be lifted after that huge night, huge match. I think the players, everyone, you were there. I don't think you would ever experience an atmosphere in the years you've
Brilliant.
worked for Arsenal
Absolutely.
Football Club.
Very true. Very true.
And I think it's impossible for any sports star to lift themselves after a big win. Obviously, I've said this many times. I've done all these shows throughout the years. Tennis is my sport. I'm over here following the tennis. If you beat a number one seed at Wimbledon, the chances are you get beat the next round because you're such on a high. Your adrenaline's going for 48 hours, and all the media on it. I mean, Declan Rice must be walking on cloud nine at the moment, but then he's got to turn up here and put in a shift, and I think it's going to be very hard for him to do that. I think it's going to take Arsenal a bit of time to get going. I think the draw at halftime was a bet that I looked at here. It was always a bet, one of my go-to bets for Arsenal, and I've got a feeling that it's going to be all about it's Champions League now or nothing for Arsenal. I mean, I think their league form's going to suffer. I can see them getting turned over a couple of times. Whether it's on this occasion, because I think Brentford are coming in not in the best of form, and they've been better on the road recently than they've been at home. But I do think they potentially could score. But my angle of attack was to go for some of those fringe players to score at any time. I mean, we're looking at maybe three players coming into the Arsenal side. You've got Trossard, who didn't start, plus 205 to score at any time. Yeah. He's got 7 goals this season in all competitions. Nwaneri, I can't never pronounce that guy's name.
Nwaneri.
I thought you pronounced the N. Nwaneri, but anyway.
Nwaneri.
He's got 8 goals. He's plus 225 to score at any time. Sterling, I couldn't pay Sterling at plus 240. I think those two would be my angle. But I think, that was my way of thinking. He's definitely going to rest players. He's going to bring in players, and Trossard and Nwaneri going up top, coming in at bigger than 2-1, could be on the cards. But I think it's going to be a very tough tough afternoon for Arsenal to keep that level and to keep that crowd, because everyone in the stadium is going to be talking about the Real Madrid game. Even if they get 2-0 here, they're still going to be talking about Real Madrid, and they're dreaming of winning the Champions League, and to get their feet firmly down on the ground when they've really got nothing to go for. If there was a title race on it would be very different. But the title race is over. They are going to finish in the top 4, top 5. That's done. And it's going to be very difficult. So I do give Brentford a chance, but I'd want to see a little bit more of Brentford, because out of all the teams in the Premier League, they are the one side you would turn around and say they're done, aren't they? Brentford are the one team. If Arsenal were playing somebody else this weekend, like a Fulham at home or a side like a Newcastle or something like that, I think they'd get turned over. But this Brentford side, the way they are at this moment in time, I couldn't bet them at plus 460. But looking at those fringe players to make an impact and score would be the way I would go.
Yes, I think it's a good angle. Have a look at the shots on target, the shots and so on, because, almost certain to start, I would have thought. Let's get to Liverpool champions-elect, which is the first Sunday game to look at, 9 a.m. Eastern. Liverpool on minus 360. West Ham plus 900. Now, we've got a selection here from Nigel, an official pick to you play coming your way. It's an interesting one, Nigel, because Liverpool, they've lost 3 of the last 4 here. They've looked a little bit leggy. I was looking at some of the stats. 8 outfield players have played over 2,000 minutes. Only 2 teams have done that. But this is probably the sort of perfect fixture for them, really, because West Ham are in that sort of no man's land. They're not going down, not going to European place. But minus 360 is very, very short. You have got your nap, so to speak, on this one. What you got for us? Yeah,
there was a few that come into potential here, but I mean, I've gone with this one. I think this season's been a bang average Premier League, but it's amazing. It's been a bang average Premier League, and Arsenal are coming now, peaking at the time we could win the Champions League. But I think it's been a real bang average Premier League. Liverpool have done exceptionally well. They've done what they had to do, and they're going to win the title. But at this moment in time, they're not the best team in England. Arsenal, I think, are the best team in England. And I think Liverpool are on a decline. And, you can see that in their performances. They played a lot of football. They look tired. It started just before Paris Saint-Germain, the defeat there against a very good Paris Saint-Germain. They weren't at it in the Carabao Cup. They were bang average against Everton. They were really poor against Fulham after going into an early start. Then they come strong in latter on in the stage. But they seem to me that just want the season done. They want to be picked up that title. They want to go on to next year. They want to sort out all the contract issues, which is a positive for them. It looks like that's coming to an end. Salah and Van Dijk look like they're going to sign, but I think they just want to do the victory parade and then get away for a few weeks and start again next season. That's the kind of look I get from Liverpool at the moment. And I think they're vulnerable every time they go to the pitch. I think they're vulnerable in conceding goals. I know Kelleher's a great goalkeeper, but he's no Alisson. He's a great backup, but the Alisson is one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best goalkeeper in the world. Defensively, they're all over the place. Curtis Jones' positioning last week for Fulham was a big problem.
He's not a right back though, is he? You know, I mean, I felt for him a little bit.
They're missing Trent Alexander-Arnold badly from an offensive and a defensive point of view. I know he's not the best defender in the world, but he's better than what they got. Robertson's had a bit of a decline as well in this form. So I just think at the moment you can get at Liverpool. I think you can score goals at Liverpool. And it's proven in their goals at home this season. The last few matches, Ipswich has scored there, Southampton has scored there, Wolves have scored there, and now they've got a West Ham side that are all back to fitness. The one thing they have got is goal scorers. Jared Bowen, we know, Fulcrook come back and scored last week. They played really, really well last week against Bournemouth. They should have landed my hot dog. They should have won that game. It was 2-2. They hit the crossbar. The week before, they should have done better at Wolves. And I think Graham Potter will want his team to keep going and going and going because he's a new manager. He's going to want to get to the end of the season, see what he's got, and then make some transfers and bring some players in. But I think they've got a goal in them. And I think this Liverpool at this moment of time are vulnerable. Liverpool, I expect to score as well. So I think both teams to score, yes, is my bet here. It's my 2-unit pick. Very unusual for me to go both teams to score, yes. But this is the time of the season with 6 matches to go where you get some crazy goal-scoring matches. This looks a match where it could be like a sort of end-of-season affair. Liverpool have won the title. Every match is going to be like a party atmosphere until they be officially crowned champions. West Ham, literally nothing to play for apart from players trying to get contracts for next year. And strikers in Bowen and Fulcrook who've missed a long part of the season who want to prove that they've still got their match fitness and their match edge. So I'm going to go here for both teams to score, yes. -115 is my 2U pick this week. I just think that West Ham have got goals in them and Liverpool are conceding a lot at the moment.
Jack, you're on the same train with this one?
Same bet. Yeah, both teams score, yes. Exactly the same reasoning. Both teams score landed in 6 the last 8 at Anfield. And I think it's been another one. Nothing more to add.
That's a lean from Jack, incidentally. 2U from Nigel. Wolves Spurs next. Imponderables here because Spurs obviously involved in the Europa League tonight against Eintracht Frankfurt away from home. But to a certain extent, Wolves might have been value at +123 to beat a Spurs side who were dreadful away anyway. Leans from the boys here. Nigel, what you got?
My lean's Wolves. I think +123 is a big price. Again, they were very close to being a bet for me. Again, Tottenham, I think they're going to jack it in for the Premier League. I think it's all about Europa League. Very hard to have a bet. And the reason why they're not one of my official bets is we don't know what's happened in Frankfurt. If Tottenham have won by a convincing score or they're trading well, I think whatever way is going to happen, I don't think that tie's going to be over at all because this is Tottenham. They could throw a 4-0 deficit or in lead, or they could come back from 4-0. So it's a huge match. I think Pereira, the Wolves manager, doesn't get the credit he deserves since he's come in. 18 matches in charge since he's been in, only 3 losses. That's as good as anybody. Good as Glasner, who we're talking about in high praise of being an ex-Bayern Munich manager and bigger and better things. So I think Wolves here are undervalued. I always like Wolves at home against the biggest sides. And at this moment in time, I think Wolves are a better bet than Tottenham, who have their priorities elsewhere. It's every Tottenham season, Poch's future, not Poch's future was 5 years ago. Postecoglou's future lies all in this tournament, in the Europa League, not in the Premier League. If they win the Europa League, get into the Champions League, and they finish 4th from bottom, it will be considered a good season for Tottenham. And that is all that matters. So I think it's a great time to play them. +123 Wolves would be one of my official plays, but I think there's a lot of strong plays, very close to being so.
Are Wolves sneaky good, Jack, do you think? They've won their last 3 against limited opposition, but as Nigel's just been pointing out, the record since Pereira's come in has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, got the job done. Exactly the same bet for me as well. As a lean, Wolves to win at +123. And the reason it was very close as well to being an official play. The reason it's not is just because of the game after we're recording this, Tottenham in Europe. But the fact they are in Europe and it is their season and there's so much pressure on Postecoglou, that's another reason to fade Spurs in this one, to be fair. And yeah, I dug into the details on Vitor Pereira as well. He's won 7 of his 15 league games in charge since he took over from Gary O'Neill, including each of the last 3, as you said. Across that 15-game period, only 8 clubs have picked up more Premier League points than his 23. And over that same game period, Spurs are down in 17th 9 fewer points. So on those basis, I think they are being a bit undervalued here, and he's doing a very good job. And Cunha should be back for this one as well, shouldn't he? Whether he selects him or not, that's another big bonus for them. But in his absence, Strand Larsen has been doing well and scoring goals. So they've got lots of threat. And I think, Spurs will not want this game. And I faded Spurs last time in the middle of their Europa League games, and that proved the right decision. And I think it will be the right decision here as well.
Jack, I'll go to you first for the Chelsea-Ipswich game, because to a certain extent, it's the same. They play in Europe tonight away in Poland. We don't know what the situation is there. But with Chelsea, unlike Spurs, they are very much in the race to qualify for the Champions League. We know now it's top 5 for a Champions League spot. That has been confirmed after Arsenal's win over Real Madrid in the first leg. So 5th place gets you a Champions League spot. Chelsea have got to focus on that. So it's different as well, because Legia Warsaw aren't anything like as good as Eintracht Frankfurt. Chelsea is short price to beat Ipswich, -335, and they've been good at home recently. What's your lean in this one?
Yeah, I've gone with both teams to score. Again, it's a very short price at -137, but I can't touch this game really, because I don't know what Chelsea are going to do tonight, probably more so than anyone else. They've been very, very much rotated throughout the course of the qualifying campaign. Then they went strong last time. I expect they'll probably go pretty strong this time. They rested Jackson and Palmer last league game. It's hard to know what kind of Chelsea side we're going to see. They were pretty weak, weren't they, against Brentford last time out in the league. So is it going to be a mix and match? I don't know. Again, there's probably more questions than answers as far as that's concerned. So I've gone with both teams to score, because I think they will be able to score against Ipswich, but I think Ipswich have got enough to score against them. That defence of Chelsea's has always been a little bit suspect. They have won some games at home recently, but they couldn't have been any easier ones, could they? Spurs, Leicester, Southampton. They were handpicked, really, the 3 that we've always kind of been fading throughout the course of the season. So, just gone with the fact that I think both teams are going to score. Both teams rank really high as far as both teams scoring across their respective home and away league games this season. So, following the trend here, Ipswich got nothing to lose. They're going to come out swinging, aren't they? They're down by all accounts.
I love the fact that you lump Spurs in with Leicester and Southampton. You'd be warmly welcome down the Seven Sisters Road, Jack. Nigel, what do you think here? I mean, Ipswich have been better away from home than at home this season, but that was a killer blow last week. You take the lead against Wolves, you can go 6 points behind them, you give yourself a chance, suddenly it's 12 points.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm going against Jack on this one. I mean, we've agreed a lot on this show today. A lot of the picks we've given are very similar, but I think that is the reason why I think Ipswich could be done. They had such a big win against Bournemouth, not only for them, but for the show, for the profits, for the watchers, the viewers of this show. I don't know if I told you, I bet. Anyway, then to go the following week, where they thought everyone around the club must have thought, oh, we got a good chance. We win this match. We got loads to go in. We'll be playing teams. And then to do that, the season's over. It's done. And I think it's very hard to lift them. Talking about teams who have big, big wins, it's also teams who've got big, big lows, and they know they've got nothing to play for. You look at Leicester at the moment. Leicester is just showing you what it is when you know that you've got nothing to play for. They're going through the motions. And I've just got a sneaky feeling that all that energy and all those goals that Ipswich have had may have just gone away from them in that match. And you've got to remember, they're heading to Chelsea, who are stinking the place out at Stamford Bridge. I mean, there is Chelsea fans I know who are absolutely fuming with the performances that they're doing. They're bored. They're refusing to go and watch it. We're calling it absolute garbage of football, when they're using a lot more choice words than garbage of football. But anyway, they're not scoring goals. It's awful. I mean, 0-0 at the weekend against Brentford was another problem. Cole Palmer's completely gone at the game. You've got Nicholas Jackson, who's come back, hasn't done anything since he's come back. So, I look at this in totally the opposite way. I expect Chelsea to edge it, but 1-0, I see 1-0 Chelsea. The only positive for Chelsea, I think defensively, they had a problem with their goalkeeper. They look to be a lot stronger defensively. Cucurella has had a good season, and now they've got Reece James back as well. I think they look a little bit more solid defensively. So I went for it, Chelsea to win to 0 at plus 130. I thought there was a better way to get with a minus 335. Just a lean for me, but I think Ipswich, all that energy, that high press, those goals. But the only other thing for them is obviously Delap is linked with a big, big move away, which is certain to get. So he's going to be a player that might have something to prove. If you fancy him to score, he's got to be in your contention way of thinking. But I think Chelsea will edge it 1-0, and we'll go for Chelsea to win 2-0 at plus 130.
Chelsea won the last
my
four.
counter argument there. I
Go
was
on.
going to say my only counter argument to that, Your Honour, would be the fact that they have got players there that are looking to secure a move to stay in the Premier League, the likes of the Lab linked with United. So those forward players are the ones that are looking to catch the eye. That would be the only counter argument I'd put forward for that one. But we'll see. We'll see who wins,
Nigel goes Chelsea to 0. Jack, both teams to score yes. They're both leans. Not official. Don't go down on the P&L sheet. We have got official plays in the next game. Newcastle versus Manchester United, 11:30. €1 apiece from the boys here. Newcastle are minus 152. United plus 380 here. It talks about teams that have utilised players a lot. Newcastle, the other team that have utilised 8 outfield players over 2,000 minutes. But they don't look leggy like Liverpool do. It's weird how it works last time. And Nigel, they scored early against Leicester. It made it easy for them, didn't it, to win and just pick them off. They played counter-attacking football recently. United, for all their upswing, still don't have a finisher, do they? I thought this was a difficult game. You've got your one you play on it, Nigel. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you say Newcastle don't look leggy. I thought Isak looked really leggy in the last game. I know he's not fit, but I thought he looked absolutely knackered. He's played a lot of football, and he's a young guy. Long season for him, and that would be a worry for me for this bet. But this bet here is because Newcastle just fly out the traps at home. Ever since they've won the Carabao Cup final, some of the fans are still in the piss. That's been like 5 weeks. 5 weeks.
They're
ago.
waiting for you to join them, Nigel.
They're waiting for you to come there. They've been on the old Steve West. They still haven't gone to. They still haven't gone back to work yet. So, but anyway, they're flying. Obviously, I think they're flying. They've won so many games. I think they've won 4 of their last 5 matches. They come out of the traps fast. They've got goals in them, despite even if Isak isn't fit. I think they've got players from all over the pitch that can bang goals in, as we saw the other day in the match. Harvey Barnes come on for a replacement for Anthony Gordon, and he had a good performance. There's goals from all over everywhere, and I think they're playing Man United just at the right time after a massive match against Lyon. We don't really know how that one's gone. We know that they don't score goals. I made a case last week that the front two for Højlund and Xerxes would struggle to get into the teams at the bottom of the Premier League. I mean, would Ipswich have one of them ahead of the Lap in their starting 11?
No,
they wouldn't. So, that shows you how bad they are. They're heavily reliant on Fernandes, and we were heavily reliant on Fernandes last week, and he didn't have a shot. So if he doesn't perform, then they just can't score goals. And we've know this stat that Lewis Jones mentioned months and months ago now about them not scoring in the first half. That keeps going on and on and on and on. They just cannot score goals early. And I expect Newcastle, with this atmosphere, pumped up crowd, it doesn't matter who it is at the moment, Newcastle need to win to get into the Champions League positions. Man United come here with a reputation, their name, their history. Newcastle will take... the fans at Newcastle won't realise they're minus 152 favourites. They'll just say, Man United are in town and we beat Man United. That's how football fans think. And I think they'll be pumped up. Eddie Howe will come out early. I think they'll put the game to bed early doors. And I like Newcastle to be leading at half-time at plus 115. And that is my 1 unit play here. Because Man United just do not score goals in the first half.
I'm just trying to think how long these Newcastle fans will be celebrating. Will it be like sort of Japanese World War II, where you'll find some Japanese soldier on an island somewhere? So
it will be like Simon Holden celebrating on his 21st birthday, and he's 53 this week.
Jack, your 1 unit play as well.
Well, who'd have thought it? My 1 unit play is Newcastle to win at half-time at plus 115. So we've got a 2 unit play on this. Absolutely on the same page with this one. They've got that party and out of their heads, the Newcastle players. I've been really impressed how they've come about after that win and gone about their business. Yes, it was Leicester last time out, but as Nigel said, they flew out of the traps. They put the game to bed early doors, 2-0. And also, after half-time, I thought that was impressive because you can go in 2-0 up against the worst side in the league and go, oh, that's job done, isn't it? But no, he's kept them honest. They've gone and got that early goal in the second half to really put the game to bed. Kind of left Isak on for 70 minutes plus. I thought it was a bit longer than I expected, to be fair. And I thought he might have had a little bit of an injury. He did look leggy, very leggy. But they obviously wanted him to get a goal. He was disappointed to get hooked off and not score, but he'll be back for this one. And I think they'll want to put it to bed early here because they have got that game in midweek as well. The only Premier League game of the midweek slate against Palace. So they've got that to take into account. So the crowd will be even more up for it than normal. As Nigel says, Man United in town is still a big draw, and they've got the best opportunity in recent times to go and put one over on them. They won 2-0 in the reverse fixture. They were 2-0 up at half-time in that one. We've said about the Lewis stat there, but it's the complete opposite in Newcastle games. There's been a first-half goal in every single Newcastle home league game this season so far. They've scored in 11 of those games as well. 14 games, they've scored in 11 first halves. One should be enough. They've done so in each of the last 8. They've been winning at half-time in 10 of 14 home league games at half-time, and 7 of the last 8 as well. So all the stats add up perfectly, and that's without even taking into account the fact that massive game in Europe for Manchester United tonight at the time of recording, and obviously this sits right in the middle of then the return leg next Thursday as well. So they're going to be leggy at Newcastle, not the place to go for that with that dynamic midfield that they've got, and I'm taking Newcastle to win this and win this one well, including at half-time. My plus 115, 1 unit play.
Yeah, unofficial 2U play from the boys, agreeing with Newcastle to be leading at half-time at plus money. Monday night action. We're at the Vitality. Bournemouth against Fulham here. Bournemouth plus 110, Fulham plus 230. The draw plus 260. We have got Jack's 2-unit play, and we've got Nigel's hot dog here. So once again, a lot riding on the Monday night action, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's an interesting one. I'm going to come to Jack first because we've got Jack's 2-unit play here. Bournemouth, a lot of the stats suggest that they're still creating an awful lot, but they're just not winning games. Obviously, Fulham with that big win against Liverpool. That's right. I think you can make a case for both here, but I know you're going away from the money line for your 2U play.
Yeah, just goals stood out for me in this. Over 2.5 goals, minus 137, so a bit shorter than what I'd normally go for, but I just liked it so much that it's just in that my swing, really. So minus 137, 2 units on it. Just feels to say there's plenty of goals in it. The race, you're looking at probably 8th place is going to get a European position of some description, and that would be big for both these two sides. They're both there or thereabouts, both got an opportunity to do it, but need to win games. So again, whatever the game state here, you're going to have a side pushing for goals. The great thing is they've both got strikers in form. So we've said before, you need both teams to come to the party when you want to be playing goals. You've got that here. For Bournemouth, got Evan Nielsen, mentioned him last week, put him forward as a lean, scored 2 goals, and he's done exceptionally well since coming in. 5 games since returning back. He scored in from his 6 starts, and he scored 6 goals in total across those. He also scored in the reverse fixture as well. And you look at Fulham, what I like about them at the moment is they've got 2 strikers. I mentioned this before, is that they're kind of rotated them. So one's having a little bit of an off moment, they bring the other one in, and they're taking their chances. Every time they seem to switch a striker, the striker scores. Muniz scored last week. He's now scored in each of his last 3 league games as well. Top scorer, Jimenez, with 10 goals. So they've got that there, as well as the supporting cast, Emile Smith-Rowe and Iwobi as well. So lots of attack and play, lots of talent there. 2-2 in the reverse. Since Fulham's return to the Premier League, there's been 18 goals in these games, an average of 3.6 per game. And there's no reason why this won't be as open as all those have been. This is cashed in 5 of the last Bournemouth league games. Fulham has scored in 18 consecutive road games as well. So they do like playing away from home. I think they're better suited to playing away from home as well. And they'll get that chance against the Bournemouth side that will go for them. Over 2.5 goals is cashed in 7 of the last 8 away in the league for Fulham. The outlier being Leicester, and we know why, because Leicester can't score. So that's the bet for me, plus 2 unit play. I'll get it out. Over 2.5 goals at minus 137. I'm so excited about the game, I can't even speak.
Yeah, I like that play, and I like Nigel's play as well. And the line here for me, Nigel, is that, look, Bournemouth have been favourites in 5 of the last 6, but haven't won any of their last 6. I don't really understand why the market is sticking with Bournemouth at plus 110 here. Talk us through your hot dog, and do you think the line is going to move between now and kickoff?
Well, my hot dog is the same hot dog that it's been for the last 2 weeks, and that's to fade Bournemouth, just straight on the money line. And obviously, I don't like to talk about it, but we bet Ipswich at 7-1 a couple of weeks ago, and that cashed. And I don't know if anyone remembers that, but anyway. And then last week, I thought we were extremely unlucky with the West Ham bet. They were a plus 225 at home, and they should have beaten them. They were there for the taking. They just couldn't convert their chances. And this time around, I don't think anyone's factored in anything about Bournemouth. I mean, Jack's trying to make a little bit of a case there that Bournemouth are going to try to get into eighth. They can do, but they've got to rely on a lot of teams dropping points like above them, and their language. They're in the 11th position really. They're a little bit off the pace, and I think their season's done. As I said, I think their energy levels have dropped. I know they've got Evan Nielsen up front who's firing, but without Cliver, last couple of matches they haven't looked the same side. There is a doubt this week. No one's confirmed whether he's going to play or not. But if he doesn't feature, I think that's a huge blow for Bournemouth. They haven't won in 8. I think the FA Cup quarter-final took so much out of them, and their performances since then haven't been the same. They've no wins in 6 at home. This is a side to me on the decline. And then you've got a Fulham side that of the two, I think they've got much more to play for. I think they're a team that I believe think they can get into 8th, and I think they're a team that if you want to bet the two of them, they're the ones that have got much more going for them. Fulham here are plus 230. I mean, this is a Fulham side that have come on the back of their biggest win of the season. They went 1-0 down at home to the champions, and if they had nothing to play for or didn't really fancy it, they would have just folded, but they didn't. They were exceptional. So you've got a team here who are coming full of confidence on the back of their biggest win of the season against the champions, who are going to be pumped against a Bournemouth side who just are spent and a spent force. And I just think that I think plus 230 is such a big price. Jack said it there. Fulham on the road have scored 8 in 18 of their 19 road matches. So if they score here, you've got to rely on an out of sorts Bournemouth to get 2 goals to win the match. I just think you could go for Fulham and the draw no bet, or Fulham on the double chance. But for the money line, we have to go something bigger than 2-1. And I just think plus 230 is a very, very big price. The way that is said now is that 110 would mean that Bournemouth would be favourites against Fulham in a one-off match now if they played. So if this was the FA Cup semi-final and you were betting who would qualify for the final at this moment in time, that's saying the market would make Bournemouth favourite. I don't agree with that. I think Fulham would be slight favourites, and I do expect money to come for Fulham here, the visitors. I think plus 230 is a big price. So for the 3rd week running, my hot dog is to fade Bournemouth, and I'm going to go with Fulham on the money line at plus 230.
Yeah, look, and as Nigel points out, that we set the hot dog at 2-1 or bigger. If you want to play tie-no bet, you want to play draw double chance, it's up to you how you play it. We've got these rules for.
Or if you want to ignore me completely and bet Bournemouth,
it's just look. We all know that sometimes we take a little bit unders, but the rules of the show are the rules of the show, and I just want to make it clear to some of the bettors and viewers that the general gist of it, as you've been saying, is fading Bournemouth. If you did that with West Ham last week, you won. Incidentally, Jack did put up Evan Nielsen as a lean for an anytime goal scorer last week. So I think both of these two bets are really, really good. There you go, boxing completely for you. So over 2.5 goals is the 2-unit player for Jack. And Nigel likes the hot dog. Fulham on the money line at plus 230. I think that could be sure to come kick-off. We shall see. Gentlemen, many thanks for your company. How long are you out in south of France for, Nigel? What's your stories there?
Oh, I'm back Sunday. Just a flying visit. I've got to go to Monaco today. I've got to go and see the tennis, pop in and see the bank manager, and then just meet a friend of mine, go on a little cruise around the Cap, and then be back. That's why we're in the Cap, because we're going to the Cap.
Wonderful. Give my best to Jimmy Ott if you bump into him again.
Terrific, yeah, I will do. Dan who he said.
Yeah, I bet he did. That is a wrap, Jack. Thanks for your company as well. Jack, what are you up to over the course of this weekend? Come on, tell us something. Sprinkle a bit of stardust on your weekend for us.
He's going to see Soul to Soul in Great Yarmouth.
Soul to Soul.
Potters in Great Yarmouth.
With Karen Wheeler as well. Incredible scene.
Keep on moving.
So, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So that's it, innit? No more to it. How can I top that? Off to see Soul to Soul. Come on, Jazzy B.
It's back to life for most of us, though.
Back to reality, yeah.
That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show. We are back next week, of course, for more Picks, Place, Hot Dogs, Same Game Parlays live show, 11 a.m. every midweek day for the football. And, of course, at the early stage of the week, our new tennis live show as well on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. An awful lot of content coming your way from all of the team at Betting Weekly. Follow us at Because We Win. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, fastest growing channel when it comes to sports betting. Make sure you are involved in all of the YouTube comments and so on. Get your picks in and get your plays. See what you are betting this weekend. From all of us for now, though, it is goodbye.